Today on Upfront, Governor Walker readies his plan for how the state will spend taxpayer dollars in the next 2 years. Coming up next on Upfront, what can we expect for transportation, higher ed, and K-12 education? I'll ask State Representatives Dale Kwenga of Brookfield and Gordon Hintz of Oshkosh. Then, Wisconsin's Devil's Advocates back on the air. Today, a look at the future of liberal talk radio in the age of Donald Trump.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Upfront. This Wednesday, taxpayers will get their first look at Governor Walker's next two-year state budget. The governor and lawmakers will have more money to work with this year. Already we know some of what the governor will unveil Wednesday, a UW tuition cut, more aid for rural schools, and expansion of a tax credit for some low-income families. But how he intends to pay for transportation needs, highway projects, road and bridge repairs is still unknown. We're talking more about this today with two members of the powerful Joint Finance Committee, Republican Dale Kwenga of Brookfield and Democrat Gordon Hintz of Oshkosh. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on the program today. I'm going to begin with the party in power here, Representative Kwenga. Any surprises we should be looking for on Wednesday?
I know just about as much as Gordon and yourself as far as what the budget contains. We got a snit, like we know that there's going to be more money for K-12. I think there'll be more money for transportation. There will also be, in pure Governor Walker fashion, more money for tax cuts as well. And so I'm looking just like everyone else out there to see what the details are. And I actually enjoy getting in the details. So after next week, we'll start looking at those details and making a good budget great.
And the numbers, we mentioned the revenue numbers appear to be higher. Good news gives you a little bit more to play with this time around.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a lot easier to deal with when you have more revenue on the table. And that's two things. We have more revenue coming in Wisconsin because our growth exceeds expectations. But there's also been a really good job of managing the Medicaid program in Wisconsin where we've had lower expenses than we expected.
Representative Hintz, this seems like the budget that even maybe some independents and Democrats could like. Tuition cut, more money for public education, more money for the University of Wisconsin system. What concerns you about the budget you expect to see unveiled on Wednesday?
Well, I'm always concerned when it's a governor, somebody like Governor Walker that's about to introduce a budget. To me, it looks like somebody who might be in the low 40s, who's getting ready for re-election and is going to try to run on fixing a lot of the problems he's created over the last 6 years. When you look at the fact that we've had $1 billion in education cuts, when we've cut $565 million to the UW system, this idea that, hey, we're going to put new money in schools and new money into the UW system, has to be held up against the fact that those programs haven't been priorities in the last few budgets. I think the biggest thing that we're going to be waiting to see is he finally going to have some responsibility and address the transportation issue? Because we have, borrowed considerably over the last few years. Transportation is now 44% of all state borrowing, and we've taken $560 from the general fund to the transportation fund. So is the governor going to continue to borrow, or is he going to actually be a leader and step up and have something in his budget that pays for infrastructure long term?
There's a lot there, but I want to address one thing that is repeated over and over, and that's a K-12 cut. And the fact is there's one vote to cut K-12 in Wisconsin, and that was February of 2011. And since then, we've increased money for K-12. Every single budget since that point in time has increased money for K-12 and included tax cuts. And so I think it's really important to point out because that cut to education was when Democrats handed us an unbalanced budget. And since then, we've showed our commitment to K-12 education by increasing funding.
Well, the issue is Dale's counting the money that you put towards the levy credit. In other words, none of that money actually made it into the classroom. The budget last year was flat. The additional $200 million went to lower the property tax levy. And the reality is the money that we're spending in the classroom is less than it was in 2010 here in 2016. So any new money for rural schools or for K-12 education has to be held up against the fact that this has not been a priority of this governor who's largely, dismantled these programs the last few years.
And that's inaccurate. We put more money on top of the property tax cut. It was straight up categorical. Every single child in Wisconsin got additional money on top of the base funding.
Well, let me follow up on two things. So I hear you saying, Representative Hintz, you think it's a re-election budget. The fondness now for more spending on the UW system, for example. is based on the fact the governor is likely to run for re-election. Is that correct?
Well, I think he's vulnerable on those things. I mean, look, we had a growing economy last year, not as fast as the national economy, but it was still growing. But this legislature had prioritized tax cuts that disproportionately went to some of the wealthiest individuals, yet we were one of 11 states in the country cutting the UW system, having flat funding for K-12 education, and I think the governor is getting some feedback. That explains his low approval rating. So now he's like, all right, I got to change course. I'm going to try to fix some of the problems that I've created, and I'm just not sure the public's going to buy it.
Representative Quinn, go ahead and then we'll move on.
Yeah, what's remarkable is we get this fixation on we cut taxes, and so then there's this, we cut taxes so there's less revenue for other priorities we have. And the fact is Wisconsin's never had as much money as we've had today. We cut taxes and we have more revenue coming to Madison than we've ever had in any point in Wisconsin history.
Now, I want to move on to transportation because Representative Hinch, you brought that up and said, you know, the governor's not led on that issue. We don't have a fix for some of the problems we face. This is a contentious issue, or has been a contentious issue, even within Republican ranks, the Assembly versus the Senate. Where do you stand on that? What would you like to see the governor say about this subject?
Yeah, well, we need some leadership on transportation. There's no doubt about that. And that's one of the things I'll be working on in the budget is when we get that budget, see how much money is in transportation. Now, the first step to that is are there ways that we could save money by looking at reforms? So I've talked to members of my community, some governments, and they have a stretch of road where the 2.5 miles under federal regulation was twice as expensive as the portion of the road where there was no federal or state regulation. So there's reforms we could do. But on the second part of that is that we have to look at our general fund, our transportation fund, and maybe do a realignment and say, what's the right amount of revenue in each of those funds? And I'm with the governor and a lot of my Republican colleagues saying that net we can't raise taxes.
So no tax increase to pay for roads and
No,
bridges.
we don't want to compound our problems by raising Wisconsin's high tax state, because we are still a high tax state despite our reforms.
Representative Hinz, are Democrats lobbying for a tax increase, an increase in registration fees to address the roads issue?
It's the governing party that's got to make this decision, and it's the governor that's got to start the conversation by having a budget that says, here's what I think we should do. And what we're talking about today is no different than where we really were in 2011. And each year we study it, and each year it's get punted down the line because this is a governor who either signed a pledge or wants to run for president, but simply, I don't think you can use the term leader with this governor when he continues to punt down the road and borrow and borrow and borrow, and it's impacting the rest of our budget, and it's going to impact future governors in the, down the road just because of these decisions.
Let me hold right there. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have more of our conversation about the upcoming state budget, and we'll have a reaction to the latest development in the battle over the state's legislative maps. And then later,
his education certainly extends beyond third grade.
Yeah, I think perhaps Rudy acts like a third grader.
a progressive radio program signs on in Milwaukee, the Devil's Advocates on their new home, and the future of talk. That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company.